Hello, Dr. Webster. My name is Rakeem Robinson. I would like to thank you for taking the time to not only offer me this interview, but looking at it online. I will read the questions 1 through 18 as well as addressing the one that you have sent to me online, and then I will respond to them accordingly. Question 1. What are your strengths as a public speaker? What do you feel you still need to improve on? Have you taken a formal public speaking class? First, in the context of my strengths as a public speaker, I would say it's my voice, its ability to carry tone, to fluctuate and keep people actively engaged in what it is that I am saying. Second is my ability to help information relate to those that it may not seem to be grasping. And I feel that I still need to prove on the amount of information which I deliver to someone because our overload of information is just as bad as not having the information at all. No, I have not taken a formal public speaking class, but I have engaged in activities such as debate and training others to teach or speak to those in formal settings. This will consist of 1 year of Lincoln Douglas debate in high school at Dickinson High School. This would also consist of 4 years of policy debate for Liberty Debate, as well as 1 year as a student coach and 1.5 years of active teaching and dialogue between teachers and myself. This will consist of work with Success Academy as well as Revolution Church. Question 2. How would you organize a 50-minute lesson on gathering research for the public speaking class? In the context of 50 minutes, I will want to break it down into three segments. One 10-minute segments and two 20-minute segments. First, for the 10-minute segment, it will be to define and understand research as it relates to us. This will consist of the theoretical terms and approaches to it, as well as the different means of research. The second portion, which are the two 20-minute segments, would be composed of researching specific given ideas, so the application of what we've just learned in the previous 10-minute session. This would be me giving them topics in which they would have to actively research and prioritize the things based on the information that I relate to them. The second portion is taking this skill and then applying to things that they actively care about or want to pursue to start a portfolio or even a form of research that they can invest in their own time to actively encourage them pursue research as their own activity. Question 3. Describe yourself in a group of peers at school. Which personality are you? In the context of a group of peers at school, I am diligent and often willing to work hard. I'm the one actively looking to communicate and set up study groups. It is more of a necessity for me than for others, but I think that urge leads to my ability of wanting to lead those things. Inside that same context, I am the personality to want to have things done ahead of time rather than on time or after time. Question 4. How would your personal friends at home describe you? Um, as free flowing, willing to open up and kind of go with what's going on to help bring joy to everyone else's day. I'm willing to tell stories or go on long walks. Even this past summer alone, I went back home just for a little bit, and a friend was going through a tough time, so I took the time out of the night. It was about 2 a.m. and we went for a walk and talked about things that they could actively resolve to help them work through the problems that they were going through. With that being said, I would also think they would say I am loyal and consistent and dedicated to the needs of others before myself. Question 5. What strengths would your past supervisor say you possess? I think that they would say that I possess the ability to lead, the ability to get tasks done without being asked, and doing what I would ask of others. This will be consistent of the duties that no one else will want to do, from fast food restaurants of cleaning restrooms to working at clothing facilities and working with customers that may look like they're just looking around or two causing a ruckus. Question 6. What areas for improvement, Pig 3, would past supervisors or faculty say you need to work on? One would be consistency with the professor. In the context of engaging with the professors, I relate to them, but tend to see the students more often spend more time engaging with them. When it's the professors teaching the class and relaying the information to us, they can probably break it down more. So I've been often encouraged to utilize the relationship I have with them more and comment to them with my concerns. The second portion of that is that no thing is too big of a demand to ask, or no question is too stupid to ask. This has been seen in my constant approach is when I'm not necessarily aware of knowing what's going on. I ask a question rather than engaging or assuming that I know the answer. The third portion of that would be to keep my head up even when things hit me rough. Sometimes after a busy hour, say at a fast food restaurant, they could see that I'm physically drained, but they would encourage me to continue to push through it because no matter what sits in front of me, I will never be given more than I can bear, and they feel that I just have to push forward. Question 7. What is your philosophy about grading? How would you feel about giving out primarily B's and C's at the end of the semester? My philosophy of grading should reflect the growth and the active engagement of where the student is. I do not project to them where I think they should be. I actively try to address each individual concern. Although this is more taxing and very individual, I think it opens up a holistic approach to where all students are able to succeed. This does not mean I give out A's and B's to those who do not do the work or put it in, but this is me recognizing the growth of where the first paper and the first speech started from to where they are at the end of the class. And I think as far as giving out B's and C's at the end of semester is not a reflection of my teaching or any other professor's teaching. It is the a work in which students are willing to give just as much as they pay to come to the university. We choose to do the things that we do not only for the necessity of money, but because of our joy or our desire to want to empower others with the knowledge that we have and they desire. Question 8. Tell me about a time you dealt with an angry student and employee. First, in the context of an angry student, this student was upset that he did not have a refrigerator to accommodate his medical needs. Yes, there was a local kitchen unit to which he could use, but he felt that he would need his medicine at night just so that he would know it's close by him, just in case he would have any form of attack or outbreak when no one's around. So with this student, first I approached him with calmness and I helped him look for his parents at the time. His mom was the only one there with me. Second, I went and talked to Coach Mike, who was the director of my employment at LDI, which is the Liberty Debate Institute at the time. After talking with him, I follow up the necessary steps to talk with maintenance, who would be responsible for storing, placing, and removing the fridge into the student's room. This concern was able to be dealt with smoothly and very helpful to the parents as well as leading to opening up doors for further engagement down the road. In the context of an employee, it would be um, I'm sorry, give me 1 second. In the context of dealing with an angry employee, it was about hours and the way in which they were cut. Um, Being in supervisor roles is not only our ability to look out the best interest for the employee, but also the goals of the company. So that meant that some people would have a 20-hour week versus a 25 or 27-hour week. Yes, it may not seem much at the time, but each hour adds up to what it could be total for them, and they felt that they were wrongly done. So inside of that, I just simply walked them through the protocol and just talked to them about how they behaved at work and what they put out. This not only led to a turnaround in how they approach work, but their overall engagement and led to a boost in company efficiency as well as product goals. Question 9. Tell me about a time you had to deal with someone in distress, overwhelmed, depressed, or in a crisis. Inside this context, I would use my first month of employment at Taco Bell for this. Um, With inside that, I was new to Taco Bell of regional Lynchburg, but I had once worked at a Taco Bell while I was attending high school in Dickinson, Texas. So I knew the protocol when it came to managerial procedures and different things of that nature. An employee came in who had ordered a specialized item. They wanted a chalupa, but they wanted substitute bean instead of beef. This was not completed, but it almost led to the customer feel like they were disrespecting their religion. So to handle this, first I talked to the customer about the concern. I understood that it was not only the order, but what was felt was a form of disrespect. So I apologized to the customer. After apologizing to the customer, I talked to the employee. We got it situated and made their order as well as a complimentary um, item of their picking, which was normally some form of cinnamon twist or dessert that we offered. Question 10. Tell me about a time you received negative feedback from a supervisor or instructor. The first form of active negative feedback I feel that I received, which was a criticism of how much I've given to my work. It wasn't a point to where I was subsumed, but they felt worried about my overall health because it didn't seem that I would be sleeping much, would be the first one in, the last one out, actively all actively communicating through different forms of email and other means. Inside of this, I heard the feedback for what it was and the volumes that it spoke to me, which was to take responsibility for myself. If I cannot take care of myself, how will I be able to help others or help reach the company goal? I learned from this and used this as a platform to grow in my other areas of employment. Question 11. Describe how you deal with stress. What does it look like when you are overwhelmed or frustrated? I would say this current season of my life, I am in a place to where at first I thought I was overwhelmed. Making a transition to Florida, I will be the only one there. I don't have any family, don't really have a dollar to my name, just enough in a gas tank and enough on my car to get me there. Figuring out the finance as far as covering school and how I'm gonna find a place to stay as I go along. But with inside of this, I've been able to take a step back and recognize the things that I should focus on or prioritize to see as important. First is to get accepted, to officially find positions to take care of the financial needs necessary upon arriving. As engaging through this process, yes, it still tense at times of not having things materially done, but I feel that stepping out in such a direction is helping me grow mentally as well as understanding what I am capable of as an individual. Overall, with stress, I usually take the approach of focusing, breathing in whatever may be that may seem as a problem to other people, then working towards what needs to be the goal. Question 12. Describe a time you quickly had to think on your feet in a difficult situation. In the context of this, I think um, through a multiplicity of experience, this would be the wedding I just previously attended. This past Saturday, I was the best man at my best friend's Michael Crenshaw wedding, as well as a former debate friend of mine's. At said wedding, I had to give the toast. I then became the MC or the best man. It wasn't due to lack of planning, but it was they liked the way I spoke and due to my tone of voice. So with this, I was able to think of a speech that was not only impactful to how I felt or related to Michael or his bride to be, but also the family and the crowd there. This led to a round of applause and often endearment of more of a stronger affection throughout the rest of the night towards each other's and their loved ones. Question 13. Teaching public speaking often consumes weekend time For example, help to judge speech tournaments in a department or watching recorded speeches for students in your class. How would you juggle this job with your academic and social pursuits? I feel that all those things are kind of intertwined. For me, without my academic being a hold or look to first, I would not have the ability to actively engage with others. I feel the academic setting would naturally provide my social sphere, which would be those peers inside my class, the students in which I may be engaging or teaching, as well as the debaters on the debate team. Um, to give a reflection of why I think I would be capable of this past year was my senior year at Liberty, which I was employed as a student coach with the Liberty University debate team. I was also an assistant, federal student study work study, a federal work study assistant for the Center of Multicultural Enrichment, which focus on diversity dialogue, active engagement of campus climate, as well as the spiritual needs of those on campus. This also was done while holding a job at both Taco Bell and Burlington, along with the traveling duties that were required of the debate. This is not me bragging or being like I'm impeccable. This is me letting you know that when it comes to my focus or determination, I'm willing to do what is necessary to not only get the job done, but to get the job done right and provide the best for my future as well as my family's future. Question 14. If you and I disagreed about how you handle a student situation, what would you do? I feel my natural reaction is to resort to your authority, not only due to your experience or your level of position over me, but your familiarities with different situations. I don't think that I would be equipped to override or rule such a decision. Question 15. This position involves dealing with significant confidential data. Describe your record keeping skills. Inside my employment with the Liberty University debate team, I was often a secretary assistant, which means looking and analyzing financial records of the debate team individual member scholarships as well as their grades. And not only was I in charge of keeping that recorded, but giving it to the appropriate coaches for the respective divisions. Um, question 17. I'm sorry. Question 16. This position involves a lot of diplomacy and email. Describe training or experience you have in writing in a professional setting. Through my training and active engagement with the Center for Me, I was often tasked with writing emails to the Dean of the Department of Students as well as student housing to host and look into different forms of experience or functions that we could often gather or host. This led to recognizing appropriate channels to respond to and also knowing the directory. The second portion of this is how to do I respond to each person by addressing them with their titles and such. So most of my training is active on the job training, never a formal class to teach me um, formal etiquette when emailing. Question 17. Tell me about your sense of humor. I feel I'm free and very childlike, not childlike in the sense of immature, but pure, just the fun for entertainment. We can have a small conversation and just be sitting outside and watching some birds do something wild, if I'm making sense. Even outside of that, it will be a humor that's kind of based on uplifting other people or sometimes criticizing a situation to make light of what is there. Question 18. Please tell me about your fall availability and schedule. This question is the hardest question because have not yet been able to register for classes for the University of Florida. Knowing that I'm available or able to take 9 credit hours, I'm as flexible as you need at the moment. I'm not able to register for classes until orientation. This was told to me by Sarah Lee of the admissions department. And lastly, uh, the question that you asked up on the email was, Do I think I will be capable of managing a 3.0 as well as juggling all the activities or the required duties of being a TA as well as a GA and traveling with the debate team along with my social life? Um, After explaining my senior year of experience, I would think yes, I'm capable. My spring semester, which was my most difficult semester, I ended the semester with a 3.5. I'm not saying I will be perfect, but I'm willing to do what is necessary and to work the long hours to make sure I get one step closer to reaching my end goal, which is to be an instructor or an influencer of young minds all over the world. To have that ability to be able to speak life into what the next generation can do, can change the trajectory of where we're headed. It could bring a overall just joy to individual communities. So thank you for this time and thank you for this interview. Outside of that, please email or contact me in any form. Let me know if you have any more questions or anything else that I need to do to make things official. Thank you for your time and have a blessed day, Dr. Webster.